Yeah, we will start the next session, important session on GST returns. This will be handled by two speakers, CA Lakshmi, qualified as Chartered Accountant in year 2012 and partner of Hiregange Associates, assisting Rajesh Kumar and Madhukar litigation and consultancy respectively. She has co-authored Service Tax Made Simple and an active contributor of articles to our newsletter. She is a member of various study circles like Artha and Parivartan, apart from being a faculty of Hiregange Academy. She is a regular speaker at ICI Bangalore and Karnataka State Chartered Accountants Association. Other speaker is CA Annapurna Srikanth, BCom FCA, DISA and Company Secretary, practicing Chartered Accountant, practicing since 8 years in taxation, audit and consultancy. Secured All India third rank in CA final and diploma in information systems, audit and also a company secretary. She has contributed articles and held workshops and made presentations with respect to taxation, audits, including presentation on GST in front of professionals, trade as well as industry. Let us welcome both the speakers. Kindly put your hands together.
So we had a good lunch, and that's bad for speakers actually.
No, returns will more than.
So the topic is so energetic and so calling for the knowledge that we cannot blame it on the good lunch we had. So I definitely agree with that. Before I formally proceed with the given topic, which is returns, I'm sure all of you are waiting for this. I want to narrate a quick small story and take it further. There is a butcher, okay, and evening he's busy wrapping up his business for the day. A dog comes near his shop and it starts barking. He gets annoyed, he says shoo, and he starts continuing with the work which he's doing. After some time, the dog again comes back to his shop, starts barking all the more louder. He really gets annoyed at this time, picks up a stone, throws near the dog, it again runs away. Now this dog comes back for the third time. At that time, he observes the dog so keenly, he finds that there should be something fishy about this. So he sees that there is a small pouch hung to the belt of the dog. Now he cannot control his curiosity. He goes to the dog, picks up that pouch, and once he opens the pouch, he finds some money in that, and there is also a small slip which says half a kg chicken. Okay, so he understood. He takes the money, he ties up that thing and ties the dog, and now hurriedly he shuts the shop. He wants to follow the dog to see what happens next. That's such a smart dog. It goes to the bus stand. It waits for that specific bus which has to come. Okay, it boards that bus, and the conductor knows where that chiller for the ticket is hung. He issues a ticket, okay, and again the dog waits for that particular stop to get down where it has to get down. So for him it is appearing like a wonder dog, which has been probably trained amazingly. So he quickly follows the dog wherever it gets down. It takes a broad road and he follows it. After some time, it stops at a big bungalow and the gate is closed, locked. It starts barking loudly. So the owner of the bungalow comes out, opens the gate, and the dog runs inside. And the moment he looks at that dog, this owner starts hitting the dog badly. Now this butcher, he cannot control his temper. He says, it has been such a wonder dog. I don't know how you have trained or somebody has trained. It's done so many good things for you. Instead of rewarding or showing it some concern and love, why are you hitting it badly? the owner answers, 100 times I've told this guy, told this dog to carry the gate keys along with it, but every time it forgets. So what is the moral of the story from this? What is the connection between GST and this story? So you do 100 proper things. You should not expect any reward for that. What is GST? What is GST? Goods and Service Tax Act. What does our dear Prime Minister Modi ji call it? Good and simple tax. I have my own abbreviation for this. And I am sure you will agree to what abbreviation I say. When you have listened to all this E is equal to MC square and all that what we discussed, T1, T2, T3, T4. According to me, GST is good but sophisticated tax. And to substantiate that, I will explain how sophisticated it is through the returns procedure. At the same time, it is not a negative note to start with, I would say. Rather, I would say it is a compliance mechanism which the HSN code, if it is taxable, it will come under taxable. That is when you generate.
I will tell you an example. HSN 1702. So 1702 will cover jaggery also, 1702 will cover sugar also.
Okay.
So then how will reconcile it?
The government
Taxable
only needs.
value, yes, I have not practically done. So
Sir, I'll answer your question after the session, sir.
okay.
So finally coming here to the table 13. I'll just finish this off and then we will proceed. So here we know yesterday from Prakash sir's class we learned that so many documents are required to be maintained. So here you are required to upload all the series including cancelled invoice. How many cancelled invoices? So forget about the practices of backdated invoice and all that. See, it has to be consequently numbered. Systematic approach should be there. And if you have multiple series, there is option for uploading multiple series. So that is why it is, see, invoice for outward supply, invoice for inward supply from unregistered. This is the self-tax invoice, 9.4 which we have been talking about. The revised invoice, debit note, credit note, receipt voucher, payment voucher, refund voucher. Delivery challan for job work, delivery challan for supply and approval, delivery challan in case of liquid gas and delivery challan in all other cases. Here the reporting itself specifies, so if you have 4 different activities for delivery challan, you have to maintain 4 different series if you fall under that category. So it's all this has to be, and this is not available in your offline utility. You have to log into the portal and do it manually. So table 8 and table 13, you cannot use the offline utility to file the details. So this is just a categorization matrix. This I have summarized for the ease of understanding of all the tables. Case studies we discussed. So I think I one case study which I kept open. When there are errors in the invoices or the values and all that, we know we have to use either table 9, table 10 or table 11 accordingly. Okay, I think
Questions will take it up.
Okay, let us take questions.
Payment voucher, when you have to take the payment voucher, whether it is mandatory.
Yes. Shall I answer? Okay. Basically, when are you required to raise the payment voucher? This is the question. Okay. So the Act prescribes whenever you make a payment for 9.3 and 9.4 RCM, raising of payment invoice is mandatory. Okay. Now again, bifurcate payment voucher for accounting purposes, payment voucher for GSTR purposes. Okay. There are specific format in which payment voucher has to be raised. If you are obtaining the services from 9.3 or goods from 9.3 and also 9.4 which we discussed in elaborate, you have to issue the payment voucher transaction wise for all that. Okay. Now coming to when should I raise that payment voucher? When you make the payment. So what does the time of supply rules? We have to, the time of supply provisions, we have to take that. When you are required to make the payment, then that payment voucher picture will come to place. But only the self-tax invoice, they have given the liberal view of that too for 9.4 as 1 month, monthly once, which I said optional voucher you can use for not having the posting effect. Otherwise, payment voucher for each single payment. Say today you make for 10 different vendors. Okay, you procured RCM supplies from 9 different or 10 different people. You have to issue, if you make the payment today, 10 different series of, with serial number, 10 watches you have to create. That needs to be reported here.
Same question, madam.
One moment, I'll finish this and then come.
9th, you have to issue the vendor wise payment wise.
Correct.
One more.
Correct.
After receipt of payment only liability will arise. If suppose advance is paid for unregistered dealer.
Advance is paid for
Unregistered
dealer.
And then payment voucher only you have to raise, sir.
Then liability arises that month.
Yes,
only.
whenever you raise a payment voucher, liability will arise. You have to pay the tax as and when you have paid the advance to the person who is supplying goods and who is unregistered.
No, same
So,
question.
that there is time of supply rules. Let us quickly discuss this with respect to RCM. RCM, they have given the time of supply rules saying that with respect of goods, what is the time? With respect of services, what is the time? They are saying with respect of goods, receipt of goods or payment in the books or credit in your bank entry. Government knows you are very smart. You know, bank entry would have received earlier, but payment you are booking some other day. It says if credit is already occurred in the bank account that day or the entry in the books of accounts, whichever is earlier. Okay? And in case of goods, if there is a bill, there is 30 days timeline. If you do not do any of these things and you have some bill which is received from that person, then 30 days. In case of services, earliest of the payment, the entry in the books or 60 days from the date of invoice. Let us say you procure accounting services from a person who is unregistered. Okay? You make the payment or the criteria is 3. The making of the payment or entry in the books of accounts or 60 days from the invoice date, invoice or you call it whatever, the document which the service provider issues. Very, very critical with respect to employee reimbursements, mind you. Because many organizations have the practice of come quarterly. All these marketing people, once they come quarterly or 6 months once, they'll claim all their bills. RCM will be a problem if these kinds of practices followed. Ensure that that month's part is taken care in that month itself. If you're not recording also, there is a trigger point for RCM. This can be an issue here.
Now, the payment voucher is as per the purchase for the purpose purchase you are making payment voucher.
Purchase or in any inward supply
It is nothing but a purchase.
Okay.
They are told as a payment voucher.
Yeah.
It should be accounted within 60 days. Or can you add?
It should be no. It is
60
only
days you have to
for
make payment.
service.
Payment is not there, sir.
Only for service. If you do not record, don't confuse about that. That is a residuary head. You forget about 60 days. If you make payment immediately, earliest of the 3 options which it has been given.
Well, when we make the payment, then only we
Then
can.
only that is the date of time of supply. That
Time of
itself
supply.
is the time of supply. So this is critical when you have to analyze that 5,000 value, how to arrive. Time of supply rules, that is 12.3 and 13.3 of the Act clearly envisages when in case of RCM, when that trigger point of supply arises. It is important to note because it will have a repercussion on your entry, the levy, when that levy occurs. So that part, okay?
For export, 6 HSC code is required, right?
Yeah, 8.
For the exempted turnover, column 12 is any provision?
Exempted turnover is it's totally this table 8. Table 8 takes care of exempted turnover.
But for column 12, we need not to be.
What is that column? Which table? Which column?
HSN is asked.
Table 12. Okay.
It's required.
HSN code.
It is required. HSN is same HSN code might have a case of taxable as well as exempt. So that report has to be generated from the system itself. That is why in all the sessions, most of the speakers say that automation is the key. Do you think manually you can do all these things? Very, very difficult. So high time we go in for that. Although the Act doesn't prohibit maintenance of manual books, it's high time we automate and generate all these reconciliations and reports required for the filing of the return.
To answer your query, one easy way, if you read the table number 12 heading, it tells summary of outward supplies. Outward supplies means it may be exempted, it may be taxable, it may be zero rated, whatever it may be. HSN wise summary I need to give. But tax element with respect to the exempted supply will not get included in the amount.
Yeah.
No, they are telling 4-digit, there is sometimes 4-digit taxable also comes, exempt also comes. And that
Yeah, include that everything. See,
So only the IGST, CGST, SGST amount may differ, but value will be the same. No? You have total invoice value, taxable value. There you have to differentiate it.
shall we take up the offline utility? Okay. So over to Lakshmi ma'am. Yeah. So I would like to thank Hiregange Academy for the wonderful opportunity that was provided. I loved interacting with all of you. Hope there was some input to take back home.
Definitely.
So I wish you all the best and let us all make it a grand success. The GST. Thank you ma'am.
Be shown how I need to account the details, whatever she has explained. We'll go quickly because we have to learn many other things as well in returns. We are still in GSTR 1. We are yet to go GSTR 2, GSTR 3 and 3B, which is very essential, which is required to be filed by 20th of August. We have only 16 days of time for it. Okay, I have logged into my company's or my firm GSTIN login. So if we go continue to dashboard.
So we get to see everything ma'am.
Sorry?
We get to see everything in the login, is it?
No, nothing is there because we have not done anything in this. If we go to the services, we can see the return part here. Once we go to the return, we'll just select the July month so that we can go ahead see what is that we require to fill online. So I'll just go to prepare sheet. So here if you can see, the dashboard will contain all your tables. So you have to select which table data you have to give and you have to fill the data whatever was explained by madam. I'll just go to the one of the thing. Table 4. What is table 4? B2B transactions. Invoice level I need to upload. We'll just add one invoice. We'll see how it will come. So for this purpose we require GSTIN number of anybody, right? I will just take another branch called GSTIN number. Here why I wanted to show here is once I put the GSTIN number, the receiver name will be automatically taken. So no need to type the recipient name. It will get auto-populated once you give your GSTIN number. So there is a cross verification if you are putting some other person the GSTIN number because name will get auto-populated. And if your GSTIN number is wrong, we'll see what happens if the GSTIN number is wrong. So it will show please enter a registered GSTIN number. So it will give you a auto population clue that the GSTIN number is not valid. All these things have been taken care by the system. So what I need to give? I need to give my invoice number. And POS, if you see, it is automatically selected. How it is selected? Based on the registration number what I have given. Here GST login what I have done is my Hyderabad branch. So Hyderabad to Karnataka it is intrastate or interstate? Interstate. So if you see the POS is Karnataka and supply type is interstate. If it is a service I can agree to it. If it is a immobile property, if it is a immobile property which is located in Hyderabad, the recipient is located in Karnataka, then what is he required to charge? CGST and SGST of Hyderabad. Then what I need to do here? I need to Hyderabad will come under Telangana. Thank you. Where is Telangana? 36. Yeah. 36. So once I select 36, the interstate will automatically become intrastate. This is the facility which is given for you. So for all the transactions, automatically it takes what is type of transaction, that is place of supply, whether it is intrastate or interstate. But only in case when you go to the section 12 and 13 of the IGST Act, you have to see whether the place of supply is different from the recipient who is located in whatever the state. So then you have to manually alter it, or else you can go ahead with it, right? So again, coming back, if I have an invoice which has 4 line items having a different serial number, different rate of taxes, so I require to enter the which and means what is the amount on which 5% tax is applicable, what is the amount on which 12% of the tax is applicable. If you see here, total invoice value is given. I'll just give it is a 55,000 as a total invoice value. Then you have to break it up here. How much is 5% and how much is 12%, etc. So once you do that, the tax will be automatically calculated. By end you have to go and save it. Here I will not save it because if it gets saved, again I need to delete. Instead of deleting, I will go back. So this is how table 4 will look to you. In the similar fashion, I need to do for all other. If you go to the table 5, similar thing will come because it's a B2C large where my total invoice value is more than 2.5 lakhs and party is located outside the state. So in that situation it will become B2C large interstate. And 9B, if you see specifically when we see the format for unregistered, it was a table 10. But when we come to the online, table 9B registered is there, table 9B unregistered is there. That's why table 10 has been omitted from the online option. If you see, there is no table 10. Table 8, table 11 has come and table 9 has come up. So table 10 is omitted in online because table 10 is taken a picture of table 9B unregistered. So this is the few changes which are there between the formats which they have given in the rules and format which is there in online. Apart from that, what else is very important for us? Document. I may have a 2 or 3 serials of documents which I can maintain. I have a 3 or 4 kind of different variety of transaction in my business and I am using a different serial number for each for outward supply itself. In that situation, what I can do here, if you see invoices for outward supply, you can give add document. If I give, I can add from and to, and again there is an option to add one more document. If you are maintaining for outward supply 2 or 3 different series, all the three series I need to give in table 13 serial number 1. Clear? So once you do each and everything, you will get a summary also. Same thing has been given in offline tool also. How I can download offline tool will be the one of the question. You just have to go to gst.gov.in website. If you go to that, if you go there, go to the services, returns, no. I think it's taken login already. So I need to log out it. Yes.
Downloads.
Yes, downloads, offline tools and return offline tool. If you go and click on the download button, you will get a zip file which will contain the data of all these things. If you see, there is a GST offline tool and GST1 Excel sheet which they have given how to fill the Excel and import it into the offline tool. So if you go to the offline tool, which will oh my god, it's getting installed. Whatever madam explained initially, the offline tool also contains all the data. However, table 8 is not there, table 13 is not there, And also when it comes to the registered unregistered debit note credited, 9B has been taken care instead of a table 10. So if I go to the new thing, I require to have a valid GSTIN number to cross check whatever it is there. So I'll just take one valid registration number. If I go here, I have a table wise. If you see B2B is there, B2C large, B2C small, credit note, debit note for a registered person, unregistered person, export of invoices, and tax liability and advance received, advance adjustment, and HSN wise summary of outward supplies. So there are two columns which are missing, which I require to fill only when I go log into my account. And here if you see, there is a import files. So that means I can maintain the data in Excel, and I can go on, click on export Excel, import Excel, and I'll just import whatever the template given by the department. The same thing I am importing as of now. So once I import each and everything, I'll get the summary, which will be just 2 seconds. It will show you how the summary will look. So successfully import has been done. So once the import is done, I'll just go back, I'll just view the summary. If you see B2B invoices, it will give you what is my tax and cess. So my total liability will be viewed in my summary sheet. This is what which is required to be paid as a registered taxable person for this GSTIN number. Clear? Okay, with this shall we close GSTR1? Do you have any doubts on the GSTR1?
Shift to address, shift to one GST number is there. Shift to different number is there, different state. Where any field is there to mentioning the.
So for me as a supplier, I need to raise an invoice only for the person with on whose instruction I am supplying the goods. I may be delivering the goods to Tamil Nadu, but for me information or the delivery instruction has been given by a person who is located in Hyderabad. So I will be raising an invoice in Hyderabad. So Hyderabad person GSTIN number I need to give, not to the person to whom I have delivered the goods.
No, but in the invoice format they have mentioned.
Yes, you have to give the ship to address. But when you record into the offline tool or an online tool, that information will not get captured. Only your liability portion related will get captured. Self-invoice for? I will come to you. It is in GSTR 2, not in GSTR 1. Forget from GSTR 1.
Only table 13 talks about serial number.
Yes. One more thing, what madam clearly reminded me. Even though self-invoice, whatever I am generating will go and sit in GSTR 2, that serial numbers has to be filled in table 13 of GSTR 1 itself. Self-invoice you may have a separate series. That series I need to give it in GSTR 1 table 13, but the transaction will be recorded in GSTR 2. I'll just explain once I go to GSTR 2. Is there any other doubts with respect to GSTR 1?
In table 13, which column is outward supply credit note? In outward supply only you have to mention.
Yes sir. In outward supply only add one more document and mention the different serial number there. So presently IC sales cannot be displayed in your GST return. Because recently there is one circular as well as a Twitter wherein it tells IGST has to be paid by one person who execute the bill of entry. But when I sell in between, before it reaches to the custom frontier itself, I have sold the goods to other person. I have to raise my commercial invoice. I don't know whether it's an exempted supply, whether it's a taxable supply, whether it is a non-GST supply. I really don't know how we need to treat it. So accordingly, we will not be able to display in return as well. Because it cannot be a taxable supply because we are not charging them. We can't even show it as an exempted supply because he has already paid IGST when he has executed bill of entry. It is not a non-GST supply as well. So I don't know where we have to show. We have to wait for the clarification with this regard.
Madam, bill to shift to question. Karnataka, bill to Maharashtra, again shift to Karnataka.
IGST you are going to raise a bill to the Maharashtra party. So you have to raise a IGST invoice. And while recording in GSTR1, we have to give the details of the Maharashtra person. Okay, sir? Fine. Then we'll go further. Shall we go to GSTR2? Okay. Coming back to GSTR2. Have we digested whatever we have learned in GSTR1?
Yes.
So digest it and keep it aside. We are going to fill our memory with GSTR2. Yes. Why GSTR2 is important? Credit. I can take credit only based on GSTR2.
So first purchase, next sale. Without purchase sales.
Okay, that is right. Should I fill each and every data in GSTR2? We have already learned from Annapurna Srikanth madam's session that once GSTR1 is filed by the supplier, it will get auto-populated in GSTR2A to all the recipients. What they need to do is 5 activities. What 5 activities they have to do? One is accept, reject, modify, or keep the transaction pending for action. Why it is pending? She has already given an example, goods in transit, or else for any other reason. You can keep the transaction in pending. If your supplier has not added your invoice, or if he has not at all filed his GSTR1, then manually I may require to add that transaction in my GSTR2. Clear? So once I do this, what happens? And one more thing was clearly explained. Whenever the GST1 is filed, for example, if I enter any of the transaction in my GSTR1, real-time basis it will be visible to my recipient in GSTR2A without even submitting my GSTR1. Initially, we had a assumption that only once the GSTR1 is submitted, that means after 10th, GSTR2A will get auto-generated and it will come to my account on 11th or after 12 o'clock of 10th. But now if we actually recheck on it, once I record any transaction in my GSTIN number by giving any other person GSTIN number who is a recipient, if he log in, it will be there in his GSTR2A, but he will not be able to do any of these 5 actions. He can do only after 10th. That means only after he submits his GSTR1, I have the option to do any of the 5 options given it to me. Then I need to file my GSTR2 by 15th of the subsequent month. Clear? Okay.
Madam, do you mean that they would, the receiver would upload the invoice, is it?
A receiver will?
Supposing the supplier has not uploaded his invoice before 10, the receiver can do it on 11th,
Yes. Yes.
from their side.
Yes, from
Which we can see
recipient
on
side. From recipient, what happens if I have logged in as a recipient to file my GSTR2?
Right.
I have purchased from you, but you have not uploaded your GSTR1.
Right.
But I can manually add that entry if I have the invoice and if I have received the goods or services to that extent.
Okay.
So I can manually add it. So there are 2 things. If I accept, there is no problem. If I reject, if I modify, or if I add manually, all these 3 transactions should be known to the supplier because I have done some action which he has not done. So it has to be communicated to him. How it will get communicated? How it will get communicated? Morning, before session you should remember what is GSTR1? Outward supply. What is GSTR2A?
Inward supply.
Auto population of inward supplies.
Read only.
GSTR2 is my inward supplies and GSTR1A is whatever the modifications, additions or any deletions done by the recipient which will be communicated to the supplier in GSTR1A. Once it gets communicated, what happens? Once it is communicated in GSTR1A, the supplier is having a time on 16th and 17th. Why only 2 days? Because as a recipient, I I'll submit my GSTR2 only by 15th of subsequent month, and he'll get that report by 16th morning or after 12 midnight he'll get that report. So 16th and 17th 2 days time he'll have to go through all the transaction line item wise, and whether to accept or reject he has to make that decision. For making this decision he has to go back to his data and he has to cross verify whether the modification done by the recipient is correct or wrong. If it is correct, let him accept. If it is wrong, he has to reject it. He didn't do anything on 16th and 17th. What happens? As a supplier, 16th and 17th, Saturday, Sunday, I have a holiday. I didn't do anything. So what happens? Deemed to be rejected. Not accepted. Deemed to be rejected. So that will come in our MIS report. We'll see what is MIS 1, 2, 3, 4. Clear? So after 16th and 17th happens, then I have a time for uploading my GSTR 3. So 18th, 19th, 28th, 3 days I have time to make the payment and file my GSTR 3. Clear?
Modification in the GSTR 3. Only this wrong fact only have to modify, or book fee is charged more also I can.
No.
Debit note, credit note.
Yes, when anything with respect to the value upward and downward agreed after invoice has been raised has to be done based on the debit note, credit note, which should be issued by the supplier and which should be shown in GSTR1 by the supplier. So whenever we use debit note, credit note concept under GST, you should always keep in mind it is always issued by a supplier. Recipient doesn't have any kind of power to issue debit note and credit note, even though if he issues, it will merely become an accounting document. Clear? And transactions to be classified. No need to tell again T1, T2, because Hani sir has explained already with a Excel sheet of example scenario 1, 2, 3. I think each and every one of you remember it. Yes?
Yes.
So I will skip that. And with respect to RCM, time of supply need to be seen as per section 12 and 13 of CGST Act, which is already explained by Madam. I will directly jump to the tables so that we can take the issues also along with the tables. The table number 1 and 2 is the general information. No need to worry anything. Whatever you have, upload it. Coming to table number 3. In inward also should we have to maintain a table. If we see that GSTR1, I have table number 4, 5, 6, 7. For uploading different varieties of supplies I make. One is B2B, one is B2C, another is export, another is SEZ, nil rated, exempted. So similarly should I do for inward supply also? We don't know. Let us see. Once we see the GSTR2, we'll come to know actual work what we have. Because for GSTR1 we'll have a pakka data with our accounting software, because we should have designed in such a manner that each and every income revenue would have been identified. But expenditure side we might have not done in such a good manner, because it is anyways if you are taking a credit you maintain it separately. If you are not taking a credit you bundle it and account it under one head and close it off. Yes? But we'll see what happens if we follow the same method under GST. So coming back to the table 3 of the GSTR2, inward supplies received from a registered person other than supplies attracting a reverse charge. That means all the B2B transactions which are other than reverse charge. Most of the things of table 3 will get auto-populated once the supplier uploads his GSTR1 properly. So we are dependent on suppliers. If they are not uploaded in GSTR1, we have more work on it. Yes? So who has to become perfect initially for GST? Supplier. Because if we upload his GSTR1 properly, then GSTR2 it will get auto-populated. For recipient there will be no much worries. If GSTR1 is not filed properly, then I have to manually add. What is the difficulty when I add manually any of the entry? I need to decide what is the place of supply. Or else it should be there in the invoice which I have to take and enter here. If it is a wrong, again there may be a rectification which may require to that extent. So if we see here, column number 1 to 11 will get auto-populated. Column number 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 has to be done by the recipient. What is it we required to do as a receiver? I need to see whether it is an input, whether it is an input service, whether it is a capital goods or it is an ineligible ITC. This is the first which I need to recognize. And next what I need to see is amount of ITC available. For example, on invoice, the total ITC is 1 lakh. Am I eligible to take the entire credit or not? Depends upon my transaction. Whether it comes under T1, T2, T3. If it comes under T1, fully out. T2, again fully out. T3, full out. T4 is fully eligible. If you know any of the services, how much it is used for a business purpose, how much it is used for other than business purpose, you reduce the credit to that extent. For example, I have a 1 lakh credit. You know that 50% is used for business and 50% is used for other than business. Take only 50,000 credit here, not full credit. Even that you can do, or else here you take full credit. Later on in table 12 or 13 it will come wherein I need to add back, or else wherein I need to increase my output liability register because I am not reduced here. Clear? Clear what we require to show in table 3?
It's manually over to figure.
So table,
No, 11 to 12 to.
yes, from 12 to serial number 12 to 16 you have to do manually for each and every invoice. This is what tracking of T1, T2, T3.
Suppose here up to 9. 9, one tax is there, I cannot add more than that.
Yes, yes.
It shows,
You can take less credit, you can't take more credit.
Can you please explain the deferment part? How can you defer?
Okay, deferment, it will not at all come into my table 3. When it comes to auto-populated in 2A, I will not select that to come it into 2, or else I need to select the option to keep it in pending. So previously, if you see, I explained 5 aspects which I need to do. One of the aspects is keep the transaction pending for action. I am not going to select the transaction. It will be pending and it will be shown as an unmatched transaction. And next month when you select it, it will become a matched transaction. Till that it will be sitting under unmatched transaction. So details to be captured, we have already explained these things. So shall we go to table 4? Table 4 is a major thing which will have a more impact on us. Yes sir.
If we not select that, what is it for the deferred, it means that for the supplier it is not liable for payment of tax.
For supplier it is liable. For a recipient, he will keep the transaction in pending because he might have not yet received the goods.
Okay, but it means supplier has to discharge his duty.
Yes, once he show the transaction in GSTR1, he has to compulsorily pay that amount. Clear? Okay, coming to the table 4, here you have a lot of things. There are a 4A, 4B, 4C. What is 4A? 4A is inward supplies received from a registered person but liable to be paid under reverse charge. Example may be GTA. If you are availing a GTA service as you are registered under GST, you will be liable to pay tax under reverse charge. But he is also registered. So he will record in table 4 of GSTR1 and he will click reverse charge over there so that it will come automatically populated in 4A of GSTR2 of recipient. Are you able to catch my point? GTA, when he files his GSTR1, he will record all the transaction details, but he will clicks on the box where it asks you whether it is liable to be paid under reverse charge. He will click S for it, then it will come and sit in table 4 instead of table 3. Clear?
Whether it is mandate to register more than 20 lakh if there is under GST or lawyer.
Lawyer.
Lawyer more than 20 because
No.
lawyer
No. So there is one notification wherein it clearly clarifies that if your entire turnover or whatever the supply of service you are doing falls under reverse charge mechanism, even though if your turnover is more than 20 lakh, no need to get registered under GST.
Where will get now registered under the
For example, GTA. For if he supplies a GTA service to an individual, he has to charge GST. But when he supplies a GTA service to a person who is already registered under GST, then that recipient is liable to pay the tax under reverse charge.
I think even senior advocates procuring services from junior advocates.
Before below 750 there was no RCA. And now it is modified for that. Modification is there now.
I don't remember anything reading on that exemption, sir.
Oh, it means
Do you remember
What
anything?
is this question?
For example, earlier we had a provision that if the GTA bill is less than 750, no need to pay.
Yes, that
that is
exemption is there.
So no
actually.
Yes, it is continued, sir. It is continued. You can refer the notification.
1500 per carriage and 750 per trip. And if few agricultural products and a few products there is exemption.
So refer 9/2017 IGST rate notification
Or 12/2017.
of CGST rate notification. Yes, IGST rate notification, you'll get all kind of exemptions.
below 1500 I need not to mention here.
Sorry?
Below 1500, its exemption is available.
Yes, no.
1500 is per carriage, sir. But very important is don't forget the consignment notes to be documented. Filing of consignment note. Tomorrow you are claiming exemption that your amount is below 750. Department might ask, how do you prove that it is below 750? So exemption is a kind of enemy to GST. So it is better to have all documentation part. Yeah, but you have to maintain all the bills part and everything. If it is below 750, not required.
Not required. Not required to pay under reverse charge. And it will not come in this table. There is one more separate table. It will go on sit there. If it is exempted supply. Clear? Yes, ma'am.
Whether registered or unregistered, recipient end has to pay through reverse charge.
GTA. Yes, if the what madam was trying to explain is if my consignment note, whatever you get, if the value is less than 750, you are not liable to pay under reverse charge because exemption has been given. And if you are using entire container by your own goods, then 750 will become 1500. If it is a partially you are using 750, full container has been used by you only, then 1500. So more than that you are liable to discharge under reverse charge.
But it is not treated as an exempted supply. It is not treated as an exempted supply.
It will, for you it may not be treated as an exempted supply. As a supplier, it is an inward supply for you. It will not be treated as an exempted supply for your aggregate turnover. Clear? Okay. We have completed 4A. In case of 4A, it will get auto-populated if he is a registered person. 5 minutes. And 2 minutes. I will just complete this slide. Okay. Then coming to...
One minute. If he is a registered person, it is not auto-populated. Whether it is liable to pay in the same column?
Yes. You have to manually upload and pay. So your liability will not go away that he has not uploaded or invoice in his GSTR1. You have to manually upload and pay the tax, and if it is eligible, take the credit off. Sorry?
Under 4A only.
Yes, if it is 4A, if he is a registered. Yes. 4B will be applicable only from unregistered person. If you are procuring any supply of services or goods from an unregistered person, wherein you are liable to pay tax being a registered person, that transaction will come and sit in 4B. 4B will be always manually recorded because he is not registered, so he will not file his GST-1. So being a recipient, I need to record the transaction. So which invoice I need to record here? The invoice raised by the unregistered person or the invoice wherein I self-generate because I have procured a goods from an unregistered person. For this answer will be your self-generated invoice. So monthly once you can raise a self-generated invoice giving all the transaction details in the same invoice. If you require, put one annexure and give a backend as an invoice, and you have to record that transaction in 4B. So it is always suggested don't raise monthly invoice for URD purchases. Better raise one consolidated invoice per month. If you raise a one single invoice per day, 30 line items you have to upload here. If you raise a one single consolidated invoice for 1 month, you can type only one invoice and show the transactions and close it. And whatever you show in table 4, it will be taken under liability of recipient, right? So whatever the transaction you are showing under table 4 will create your liability. So that means it will be added to your output tax liability register. All of you are aware, no, 3 kinds of ledgers what we are maintaining under GST: cash ledger, credit ledger, output liability register. So table 4, whatever the data I give, the relevant portion of tax will go and sit in my liability register along. Plus I need to give the details of credits in the same month. That means it will go and sit in a liability register as well as my credit ledger. So there is actually no cash outflow. If you clearly see, there is no cash outflow, but whatever the transaction you show in table 4 has to be paid in cash only. So once there is a liability debited into the electronic liability register, that can be credited by cash ledger, not by credit ledger.
Now, how to treat the component material purchase?
I'll come back to you. This is not the table for him. Okay.
Madam, one point to ponder.
Yes.
See, what is your take on this? If it is a GTA, unregistered, should we report it at 4A or 4B?
Unregistered will come under 4B only.
Even though it is specified
Yes.
notified services?
So if you see here, inward supplies received from a registered supplier will go to the 4A. If it is a registered person and I am liable to pay under reverse charge, will go to the table 4A. If the person from whom I am procuring any goods or services, it may be a 93 or 94. If it is unregistered, it will come and sit in 4B. And 4C will be your import of services. If you are procuring any services from outside India, that will come and sit in import of service. And this table will create me a liability as well as credit to my electronic credit ledger. Clear? 4? Table 4 is clear?
4B is again line item wise, right? Because
Yes.
it is for
Each and everything is line item basis.
4B consolidated we can give.
No consolidation. If I have raised a consolidated invoice, I need to give. If I have raised 10 invoices for URD, 10 invoices I need to give.
Correct. But that option of consolidation not available for 4A.
Because he has raised the invoice. That invoice details has to come here.
Correct. But
Madam, table 4 ಅಲ್ಲಿ 12 ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸರಿ repeat ಮಾಡಾಗ
12 sir.
ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸರಿ repeat.
So 12 is you need to select whether it is an input, whether it is an input service, whether it is a capital goods, or whether it is an ineligible credit.
Ineligible credit fully or partly ಆದಾಗ
No, fully ಆದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿ sir. Partially ಆದ್ರೆ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
Import of input services, earlier we used to pay under RPM. Now it is continued.
Import of services. Yes. Import of services now also it is continued that you have to pay under reverse charge. That way it is coming under table 4C. Sorry sir.
Commission paid to foreign agent. Earlier, because place of service outside country, tax is not applicable. That is still continued.
So again you have to see that section 12 and 13, what is the place of supply. If your place of supply is outside India, then it is an export. If your place of supply is within taxable territory, then it will be taxable. Due date will be filing of return. By 20th you have to pay. That's all. Before filing GST-R3 you have to pay the cash. Means with you have to make the payment. Yes, all the liabilities.
4B is only whatever is exceeding the taxable limit.
Yes, you have to per day you have to take the limit of 5,000. Whatever the notification has been given. If you exceed 5,000, then only liable. From rupee 1 you will become a liable. If you exceed 5,000. So if you are 6,000 is the URD purchases per day. On 6,000 you have to pay the tax.
No, it is as per the transaction or number of days 30 into 5.
Sir, it is per day 5,000 sir.
Correct. For example, any particular day my evaluated purchase is less than no 5,000 payment is there, all are above 5,000. So and that time it will be then as per the transaction are totally 30 into 5 like that. The exemption deduction.
Sir, I'll just explain it. You may have a 10 invoices from an unregistered person per day. You have to add all the 10 invoices and you have to do the total of it. If it is exceed 5,000, pay on entire amount. If it is not exceeding 5,000, don't pay the taxes under reverse charge. It is a per day basis. Even though you are raising one consolidated invoice monthly once, per day basis you have to give a line item wise. Wherever you have crossed 5,000, that you take a outer column or else let it be there in a inner column which will not be attracted for tax purpose.
I am having less than 5,000 20 days, but daily basis.
20 days don't pay. For remaining 10 days where you have crossed 5,000.
I have to take exemption 20 into 5, not 30 into 5. 30, per day 30. Monthly 30 days is coming, you know. Can I have benefit of 30 into 5?
Sir, that you can't do. Per day basis invoice you have to pay. For example, he has given a one invoice per month. That means for that day you have to see what is the amount you are exceeding. You can't divide it by 30 days and proportionate it for each and every day. That cannot be done. And for taking total of 5,000, should I include all nil rated or exempted supplier received from unregistered dealer?
Yes. Yes. It says all supplies.
Should I? Yes, why? You have to read 9(4). When I will be liable to pay under reverse charge? When he is liable to pay, but he has not discharged because he has not registered person. Because of that, I am paying under reverse charge. If he is only not liable, why should I pay? For example, whatever the goods he is supplying to me, he is covered under exemption. Right? If he is covered under exemption, he will not charge me. Should I pay as I am purchasing from an unregistered person? No. So in that situation, this kind of turnover I need to exclude to compute 5,000 rupees. Yes. Or else how will you identify the rate of tax, madam? You have to classify the goods or services first. Then only you have to see what is the rate applicable for it. Then you have to discharge the same. So what is the disadvantage of buying from an unregistered buyer is you have to classify the goods, you have to assess the tax and you have to pay the tax on behalf of him and you have to comply all the provisions of GST on behalf of unregistered person and then at a later point of time taking a clue from Hani's session, if it is eligible you will get the credit, if you are not eligible you will not get credit as well. So you have to decide whether to buy anything from unregistered buyer or not. That is the first decision you have to make. Or else you have to see if it is less than 1,000 I will buy from an unregistered dealer or else no, you have to go to a registered person and this has to be communicated to the all employees of the company or the firm. So that will be the best option. And with this, with table 4, we will just take a 15 minutes of break for a coffee or tea, whatever is preferable, and then we will reassemble and continue GSTR 3 and other related aspects. Thank you. Yes sir, no. Got clarification or little more doubt on all the aspects? We'll see, we'll go ahead with the session. Okay, at the last 15 to 20 minutes or half an hour, we'll keep it as a question answers and I know many of you are having a lot of doubts on reimbursement issues. We'll take it at the end so that I can cover GSTR 2, 3 and 3B. Later on we'll take the questions and we'll try to answer all of your questions. Okay?
We don't mind staying that half an hour if you do not mind.
Yes. Table 4, is there any doubt still? Table 4, 4A is for registered person, 4B is for unregistered, 4C is in case of import of services. This is already explained. This T1, T2 concept I'll skip because it is already explained by Hani sir. so that I can save time here and go further and see what else is relevant for all of you. Yes, if you see the table 5, inputs of capital goods received from overseas or from SEZ unit on a bill of entry. Import of services is coming under table 4, but import of goods will come under table 5. Why? In case of services, I will not be furnishing any bill of entry, but in case of goods, I need to furnish bill of entry, and before clearing the goods from the custom frontier, I need to pay applicable BCD, IGST or any cess or any other charges which will be applicable like anti-dumping cess, etc. So after paying it, I can clear the goods from custom frontier, and I have the bill of entry number over there. So all those details I need to give in a table 5. So if you see here table 5, GST of the supplier. Will I have the GST of the supplier in case of import of goods from outside India? Then what should I put? Yes, our GST number I need to give in case of GST of the supplier, and details of the bill of entry I need to give, and what is the rate and taxable value, and what is the IGST, and again I need to see whether it is an input or capital goods, and what is the eligibility of credit on such item for me. So all these details I have to be recorded in table 5 of the GSTR 2.
Why it is not auto-populated? Customs can upload their our bill of entry.
No sir, they will not do. They can simply tell this data is matching with them when you go for a refund. If you are a EOU and if you import any goods from outside India, you can take an exemption only for BCD. IGST I need to pay compulsorily, but however I can go for refund of it under section 54. So this has to be done manually. No cross means no auto population.
Link will be there. Otherwise, people can this one because while filing the bill of entry, they are asking our GST number. Some linking will be there. Otherwise, we can claim more than that.
No, sir. There will be a link with EDA portal.
Yeah,
so whenever you file RFD1, that is under section 54. The data will auto-populate from your GST returns table, and that will be cross-checked with the EDI portal. Then only the refund will be given to you, but it will not get auto-populated.
Where we have to show BCD?
BCD will not be shown separately. It will be included in the tax value itself. You have to show the assessable value for the purpose of IGST, whatever you compute. That will go under taxable value on which IGST will come. So BCD will be treated as a cost to you.
In case of EOU?
Yes. In the case of EOU also, whatever the value will be shown here, that will be including of BCD. For you, BCD they will include for the purpose of IGST computation.
But in case of EOU, we can claim
notional BCD they will take, sir. If you have seen the bill of entry, if BCD is not applicable for you, you are exempted from payment of BCD also, they will take the notional value of BCD and then they will come to your assessable value on which IGST will be charged.
Ideally, what includes taxable value?
Sir?
Ideally, what includes taxable value?
As per bill of entry, whatever the customs valuation you have done, that value will be the taxable value here.
Assessable value?
Yes, assessable value. And only now, recently when we have seen the bill of entry, the notional BCD is added in case of EOUs. They have not paid the BCD because they have got the exemption, but still what would have been the BCD if they have paid, that is added for the purpose of computation of IGST. Here?
Then the rate wise has to be done.
Here also rate wise I need to show separately.
One bill of entry, 3 rates.
3 rates. It may be there, sir, but each line you will get separately taxes, no? If you see the bill of entry, if you are procuring 3 or 4 products from outside India, the bill of entry will have 4 products separately, and each product, what is the taxes also will be displayed separately.
According to rate wise, I need to.
Yes, according to rate wise you have to show separately here also. So this is already I have explained. So there is no auto population and GSTN would be the recipient of taxpayer. Table 6. Table 6 is with respect to the amendments of the tables information furnished under table 3, 4 and 5. If there is any amendments to the table 4 and 5, 6 where we have already given the information in the preceding tax periods, and you have to show the debit note, credit note relevant to that here, and you may require to reduce your ITC to that extent or increase your ITC to the extent of debit note. And one more thing, under GST it is very important to make a note that a debit note and credit note can be issued only by the supplier, and if he has raised a debit note, then that debit note will get automatically auto-populated here. And if he has raised any credit note, even that will get auto-populated here. If he has raised a credit note, what is the implication for him? There will be a reduction in tax liability. Subsequently, as a corresponding to that, I need to reduce the ITC to that extent. If one person is getting any benefit, another person is losing to the extent of the benefit whatever he has gained. So there is no benefit to both. Initially under service tax, what we used to do, raise a credit note under rule 6.3 of service tax rules and you reduce your output tax liability. And there was no provision for us to verify whether he has reversed the credit to that extent. But under GST, I need to match the transaction. If I am getting reduction in my output tax liability, means the other person should lose to that extent ITC. He has to reduce his ITC to that extent so that I can get reduction in my output tax liability. So this has to be shown in table 6. Coming to the table 7, very important. Till now what we have seen is table 3 will capture all B2B transactions, right? Table 3 will capture all your B2B transactions. That is, if you have procured any goods or services from a registered person and it is not liable to be paid under reverse charge, we will go and see in table 3. Table 4 will capture all your reverse charge transactions. Even though the supplier is registered, but that category of supply of service is made liable and a reverse charge will come under table 4, and whatever the procurement of goods or services made from the unregistered person will come and sit in 4B, and import of services will come under table 4C. Other than that, import of goods or import of capital goods will come under table 5. What is left out? 6. Supplies from composition dealer, or you have received any services from a person which is exempted from GST, and non-GST supplies received. This and all is not captured anywhere in table 3, 4 or 5. That has to be shown in table 7 as a consolidated. If you have seen the entire format of GSTR2, all your expenses or all your debit side of the P&L account will come and sit in GSTR2, right? If you see how much you have purchased from composition dealer has to be shown in table 7. Composition dealer is also a registered person. Why it should not come and sit in table 4 or table 3?
He is not charging for.
I didn't get any answer. Composition dealer is a registered person. Should it come under table 3? Yes, he is not charging tax, and when he files his return, he has to give a consolidated amount, not invoice level data. So it will not come and sit in table 3. But I need to give consolidated amount of supplies received from a composition dealer, right? So I need to have a system where I can identify my inward supplies from a composition dealer is how much. And here also if you see interstate and intrastate is there. Interstate is not at all applicable in case of a composition tax person, because if he is doing any IGST transaction, he is compulsory liable for registration. In case of composition taxable person, only 7B will be applicable, 7A is not at all applicable. And when it comes to exempted supply, if you have procured any services or goods which is exempted from GST, it is not gone to table 3, then it should come and sit here as a consolidated value. Similar way for non-GST supply. If you have procured any petroleum product for the purpose of production, so how much you have procured, that value should come and sit in column 5 of table 7. And here I need to give further breakup. How much I have procured from interstate, how much I have procured from intrastate as well. This is consolidated figure I need to give. Even for giving this consolidated figure, your accounting software should help you, because or else if you want to do this, you have to import all your inward purchases or inward purchase details, and you have to again identify what is from composition dealer and what is exempted under GST and what is non-GST supplies. This should be for capturing this, your accounting software should help you, or else you may require to have a 4 or 5 kind of ledgers wherein you should see B2B transaction should go to one side, composition dealer should go and sit in one side, and any non-GST supply should go and sit in one side, so that you can get the consolidated figure to upload GSTR2.
It is not reported any implication in this, because here is composite dealer or is a non-GST supply. The implication if I am not reported or
wrong disclosure. Wrong disclosure will happen.
Written there is no.
Sir, it is compulsory, sir. Once it comes in the written, it is compulsory. I need to disclose this.
Non-GST supply including tax I have to mention.
Yes, including tax you have to mention.
Composite dealer will be
Sorry, sir. Composition dealer.
filing the return quarterly. And this number how it will help?
Sir, they will come to know how much of the transaction you are doing from the composition dealer. If they come for an audit, they may ask you to give the composition dealer the full breakup, and they can see how much you are procuring from one dealer and what is the value you are paying to him. They can re-examine it, whether he is eligible for a composition, a dealer or a benefit or not as well.
Madam, composite dealer or exempted supplier, if he bills, he gives bill in the name of like bill of supply.
Yes.
So how can we come to know that he is a composite dealer or whether he is exempted supplier?
Bill of supply is mentioned composite dealer.
No, they have to compulsorily mention he is a composition dealer. Okay. And registration number also will come to know whether he is a composition dealer or not. You can check the taxpayer actually. If you have the GSTI number, if you log into your GST portal, you can check whether if you put the GSTI number of the taxpayer, the details will come into picture. There we need to say whether there will be any link, whether it is a composition dealer or what.
In PRC they are not mentioning, no?
Sorry, sir?
In PRC they are not mentioning that composite or
PRC. Provisional registration certificate. Are they mentioning composition dealer?
They are not mentioning. The thing is, they have enabled the composition option, but no acknowledgement is received for confirming that you are a composition dealer. See, what happens is, if the persons who want to opt for composition, they cannot simply migrate and keep quiet. There are two things. One is CMP01, which is already activated. You have to file within August 16. They extended the time. Secondly, CMP03, expected to clarifications and forms with respect to that, which says about declaration about the stocks lying, because earlier he might have been part of a regular dealer in VAT and now he is opting for composition in GST. Could be a scenario. This we have to wait and watch, but PRC doesn't indicate, because when PRC was issued, you didn't even opt for composition. That option itself got activated later. However, if acknowledgement was given, it would have been a good thing. What we are doing is we are saving a screenshot of it, recording it for our records that composition already opted is what is reflected.
So you mean to say that for each bill of supply we have to check?
No. See, bill of supply as Madam
universal printer.
Yesterday, if you had keenly listened to what Prakash sir said, bill of supply, two scenarios will come. One is composition dealer, second is exempt supply. So, composition dealer, he should on the bill of face of the bill itself, he should get it printed. Bill of supply, composition dealer not liable to collect tax, and On the name board also he should display that he is a composition dealer. So these are the measures which government has taken. If he doesn't issue a proper bill, you can insist, ask him, give a bill of supply which is compliant with GST. You can always question because you will be hit as a recipient. So you can always question that.
AEB bill and water bill also mentioned in the exemption.
Yes.
Electricity.
Everything. Electricity is a nil rated, sir. Not nil rated, exempted. Because it is there in the exemption notification.
Again, water if it is not branded,
Exempted or else it is a taxable. So what madam is clarifying is water if it is a branded tax is there. If it is not branded then it will come and sit in exempted supply of services.
Even the exempted dealer was supposed to mention.
Sorry sir? Exempted dealer? Where he has to mention electricity?
no, bill of supply, yes.
Yes, he has to issue a bill of supply for it.
So that bill of supply he has to mention TIN number and all that. See, the format if you see that is there. The address, TIN number, everything of the registered person has to be issued. Mention that.
Sir, bill of entry for transactions, if you see the contents of the bill of supply, all the related aspects would have been taken care over there. He has to mention his GST number if he is registered. If he is only exempted, if all his supplies is fully exempted, then as per section 23 of the GST Act, he is not at all liable to register. So in that situation, it will become a purchase from an unregistered person. But however, when you see the items which is exempted, so even you are not liable to pay the tax. When you are liable to pay tax, whenever the person who is not registered and he is supplying the goods or services which attracts GST, then only being a recipient you need to pay the tax. If he is supplying a water which is not a branded, then he is unregistered, but that comes under nil rated. So even being a recipient, I am not liable to pay the tax. Clear?
One small point to add to that.
Exempted item.
Yes, you have to show it under exempted supply.
One small point to add. See, one more condition for availing input tax credit is the document should be in the prescribed format. Now, one responsibility is from the supplier end to see that the document complies with the given fields as per the rules notified. The second point would be from the recipient perspective. Simply because there is GST number of yours, don't be satisfied. Just check if the invoice complies to all that. Because if it is not a proper invoice as per the prescribed law, you might also risk it up on your ITC part. So first few because we did this for some clients where there were it was horrifying actually. See, through the government, that interdependency creating that one person is disciplining the other. That is how the whole chain comes. So have a check on all your. So one person should take care of the inspecting of the documents whether it complies with this. I think that point I just.
We go further. Yes, sir.
Non-GST supply. It should add inclusive of the other taxes or
yeah, you can include the other taxes. It is a gross value level, including of taxes. Okay. A table 8 comes to the ISD credit receipt. If any of your head office is registered under input tax distributor, if they have distributed the credit, that will come and sit in table 8 of the GSTR 2. So if you see here ISD invoice or ISD credit note, ISD document details and GST of the ISD. For example, head office is distributing the credit or ITC to the branches. Then GSTI number of the ISD I need to mention. That means head office ka GSTI number I need to mention, and ISD document details and what is the credit I have received and what is the amount of eligible ITC I need to mention in GSTR to table 8. And here again if you see, there is no drop down facility is provided whether it is eligible or ineligible. If we see the GSTR 6 written which is to be filed by a ISD, he has to first bifurcate the ITC, how much is eligible, how much is ineligible, and for ineligible separate invoice he may require to rise to distribute the ITC, and for eligible separate tax invoice he may require to rise to distribute the ITC. So accordingly, if you see one invoice will be eligible, another invoice I may require to make it as a ineligible, because that option has been given for ISD. But when we come to the table 8, the similar drop down facility has not been given to the recipient.
That is not auto-populated, right?
This will get auto-populated, sir. This will get auto-populated. ISD will get auto-populated based on the GSTR 6 to be filed by the ISD before 13th of the subsequent month. Next is TDS and TCS. As of now, TDS and TCS provisions have been postponed. It is not yet implemented. And if we see the TDS provision also, presently it is applicable only for few of the government organization, not to anybody else. So we need to see when it will get applicable. So based on that, if they pay or if they deduct the TDS or TCS from my account, they will pay to the government. Accordingly, I will get back it as a credit in my GSTR table 9. But however, it will get credited to my cash ledger, not to the credit ledger. Consolidate, okay. If you see the table 10, again advance column has been come back into table GSTR 2 also. Why it is required? Why advance has to be captured in GSTR 2? Am I liable to pay an advances paid to a person who is not registered?
Yes, if it is a supply,
Yes.
advance for supply. If it is advance for supply, then you have to.
Yes. 9394 transactions, section 93 and section 94, wherever you make any advance payment to them before receiving the supply of goods or services, on such advance amount you are liable to pay GST as per section 12 and 13 of the CGST Act. So that transaction has to come and sit in table 10, and correspondingly when you raise a self invoice for such transaction after receipt of goods or services, then you have to give reference of such payment voucher so that you can adjust whatever the tax you have paid as and when you have paid the advance to the party, adjust it, and remaining balance will go and debited to your electronic liability register. Clear? So that means the transaction, whenever you raise a self invoice, that will go and sit in table 4. Adjustment will happen in 10B column, table 10B. I'll just give an example. I have paid an advance of 50,000 to a lawyer, wherein I need to pay under reverse charge because legal services is under reverse charge mechanism. On 50,000, assume the rate of tax was 20%, 10,000 tax I have paid. But on receipt of service, he will raise his invoice and give me for a lakh of rupees. So I need to raise a self invoice because he is unregistered. I will raise a self invoice in the month of September, and I will show that invoice in table 4 of September return. But already I have paid 10,000 of GST when I was uploading my July return, right? So I have shown 1 lakh in table 4, in which for 50,000 I have already paid the tax, and for remaining 50,000 I need to yet to pay the tax. But when I show 1 lakh in my table 4, it will automatically calculate tax as 20,000. So when I come back to table 10, I have to give the adjustment of it. I may require to show the gross advance for which I am going to take the adjustment of the tax which I have paid, and what is the IGST or CGST, SGST, whatever the tax which I have paid, I need to show it in table 4, 5 or 6, and accordingly my liability which was created as a 20,000 will reduce it to 10,000 based on the adjustment shown in table 10B. Clear? Table 11, very important. I have just made little changes for it. Table 11 will be applicable where I may require to reverse something or take something. So for example, if we see the rule 37.2, there is a condition for me to take input tax credit. Whenever you have taken any input tax credit, you have to pay to the supplier within 180 days. If you have not paid within 180 days, what happens? I need to reverse. So that will come and sit in table 11. If you see the first one, amount in terms of rule 37(2). This will be added to my output tax liability register. Similarly, rule 39(1), where it tells ISD apportionment is in negative because of credit note received by the ISD. For example, ISD has distributed the credit to you, means credit to their branches as per the invoice received by him. Later on, credit note has been received by the ISD for 10,000. So again he has to distribute that negative figures because he had distributed more input tax credit. Now we have to distribute the credit note also. To that extent it will get reduced. It will reduce the ITC, right? But instead of reducing the ITC, it will be added back to